At Ventum Financial, we believe that sharing another person's story is a privilege. The people inspiring and activating others, role modeling what's possible, solving problems today, and building for a better tomorrow. Who is relevant is subjective, but what if we turn the dial? Leaning into the courageous leaders who quietly drive positive change. This is Relevant, where leaders, creators, and change makers share the ideas shaping business, culture, and the world, one conversation at a time. In this episode, I met Asta Torokvei of West Haven Farms, Inc., based in King City, Ontario, with another location in Wellington, Florida. Asta is active in the equestrian world. She's competed in hunter-jumper and equestrian circuits in both Canada, the US, and abroad. We talked about what it takes to turn a passion for horses into a demanding full-time business, breeding, care, competition, and the day-to-day operations that most people don't see. Asta's leadership is hands-on and pragmatic, visible, accountable, and rooted in care for both her team and the animals. Today's episode informed me that what I had imagined in retirement as a hobby requires far more caretaking, time, financial commitment, and practical knowledge. This is Relevant, where people are discovered. Thank you for joining me. Debbie McGrath, I'm here on Relevant today with Asta Torokvei at West Haven Farms. We're learning all about the riding business, as well as your journey through your career. Welcome to Relevant.
Happy to have you guys here today.
Thank you. I know nothing about horses, so today is going to be a huge introduction to me about the education of the business, but also the fine art of riding. So Asta, tell me a little bit about how your career started, because you have quite a history riding.
So I started at 8 at Sunnybrook, and that was kind of a surprise to everybody because at that point I was actually terrified of all animals, like dogs, cats, didn't matter what it was. So when I announced that I wanted to ride horses, my parents were like, okay, this will last maybe a day.
Sure.
But then that kind of just started and led to where we are now. And so I continued doing kind of camps just for a week or two at a time in the summer, and then ended up competing really for the first time when I was 12 and have been hooked ever since.
So tell us about the competitions, because from my understanding that there is a variety. There's jumping, there's racing, and hunting.
Yeah, so there's also a few more. So the discipline that I focus on is the hunters and the jumpers. Then you also get into dressage, you get into 3-day eventing, and then obviously horse racing is a completely separate industry from that as well. But so the hunters are judged. Basically, they focus on like the style and the rhythm and like the form of the horses. I always refer to it kind of as like the figure skating version of, horseback riding, whereas then the jumpers are a little bit more like the speed skating. Mm-hmm. The jumps get a little bit bigger. The emphasis is on speed. You need to usually make it through the course under a certain time allowed. If you leave all the jumps up, then you move on to a jump off, and the goal is to be the fastest and leave all the jumps up. That's how you win.
So when you did a transition, because you've won a number of awards within your career, understand that you are amateur, is that correct? Because there's different rankings within?
Yes.
So you're within amateur, but then you did a pivot and you had a racehorse.
Yes, then I ended up with a racehorse. That was a little bit of a funny story because we've also done some breeding here. And so the year before, we had 2 mares that each had a foal. So a foal is a baby horse. And so when the foals get to about 6 months old, you end up weaning them, which means like you take the mare away from the foal because they need to the foals have to stop nursing. It just becomes too hard on the mares as they get big, and they just kind of need to learn how to be by themselves at that point.
Pushing them out of the nest. Exactly. Just like university. Yeah. Time to be on your own.
And so anyway, the year that I got the racehorse, I felt bad because we only had the one foal. And so to take her away from her mom and she didn't have a buddy, I don't know, I just thought that was kind of cruel. So we ended up getting a 6-month-old thoroughbred to be her companion. And the nice thing was that one went into training at 2, And when she had her first race as a 3-year-old, she ended up winning. And so it was kind of just extra exciting. Like she actually ended up being a great horse.
Asta, I'm sure we're going to see the blooper shots of me trying to get on the horse. So this is not a short person's sport.
No, there's a variety of like
the jockeys different. Are tiny.
Yeah, the jockeys of the racehorses are tiny, but even in like show jumping or hunters, there's a kind of huge variety of like people's height that ride. And so there's also a huge variety of like the height of the horses.
So tell me a little bit about the relationship of these two.
So Allie is actually the first horse we ever bred. She's been with us for 20 years now. Mm-hmm. And Hudson here is her first baby.
Amazing. So you see the bond between the two of them?
It's not really. Like when they were together, when he was a foal and they were out in the paddock together, you really he was quite attached to her. After they're separated, it's, within a couple months, like they kind of don't even really, I'm sure they recognize each other, but I don't know, she seems quite happy to not have him around anymore.
She's a mother who's had enough.
Yeah.
So there is a lot going on. We've got the saddles and the bridles, so a lot of care for them. Can you tell me, as a business, there's the purchase of the horse.
Yeah.
Does that depend on the height, which I understand is it hands? Because I've been learning a little bit about this.
So the hands would be, so she, for example, is, I believe, 17.2.
Okay.
So one hand is 4 inches.
Yeah.
So she'd be 17 times 4 plus 2 inches would be her total height.
And is that to her neck?
Yeah, that is to the top of the wither.
Top of the wither, okay.
And so he's smaller. He's about like 16.1.
Okay, and is their value determined on, does height play a role in it?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, so tell me about the value of the horse, or does it depend what they do?
It's more about the kind of their athletic ability and the job that they're doing. So this one is a hunter. He's kind of does what when they're judging them. And she did a little bit of everything. She did hunters. She did some equitation, which is when they judge the rider and the position of the rider. And then she also did some jumpers. So she's kind of like multi-talented.
She's got all bases covered horse.
Yes.
Champion of everything.
Yeah. And then some of the other ones that are in the barn, they do just the show jumping. And so depending on the level that they are competing at, obviously like a horse that jumps kind of 1.40 or bigger and does the Grand Prix is going to cost a bit more than one that's jumping like a meter.
I joined Ventum because I was looking for a firm that was independent, entrepreneurial, and allowed you to be your very best self at work.
I was with them previously and came back because it felt like a family to me, and I haven't been able to replicate that culture really anywhere else.
It's been amazing energy so far and great camaraderie amongst our team.
And there's a real sense of teamwork, which in turn creates a highly collaborative and intellectually stimulating work environment.
I'm excited about working in an organization that has a commitment to a service culture enabled by empowering people, continuous improvement, and process re-engineering.
Ventum is a leading independent company with an exciting future. We have a very strong platform.
Someone would like to join Ventum because of the firm's commitment to enhancing not only the experience of their employees, but also the experience of their clients.
We distinctly and passionately believe that if we give our investment advisors, our frontline capital markets professionals, the tools and the resources that they need, that they will take care of our mutual end client.
Turning up for people, this is Ventum. Okay, so then let's talk about their care. So your horses are exceptionally beautiful.
Thank you.
Their coats are stunning. They look like they're well fed, but their muscle tone is there. So that must be everything that you take into consideration of how it is you're caretaking for the year. So who do you need, and what What's involved?
You need a really good team behind you. Especially if
how
you
many
have,
here at West Haven?
we usually have 3 to 4 people working every day.
Okay.
We have about, I think, 15 horses in the barn right now. The nice thing is, not all of them are competing at this point. There are some that are retired. There are some that are young horses that are kind of just growing up and will eventually start working and going into training. But yeah, having the right people and a good team and people that you trust is so vital.
So in your journey of developing West Haven into a business, how long did it take you before you felt like you had the right team around you? And how did you find the right people?
I'd say finding them is a lot of luck.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of changes. For a lot of people, they, might want to work with horses for, at the beginning of their career. But it's not always the easiest job for people to stay in. I find it's very transient. So it's hard. When you find the right group of people, you kind of want them to stay forever. But I also always know that, everyone's got their own journey and their own goals and ambitions and things that they want to do in their lives. So, and I think a lot of the people that end up working here, I also like to see them kind of go on and have success and, enjoy what they're doing. And it's always sad to see them go. But you kind of just have to have faith that, the next right person is going to come along.
Asta, let's talk about the business of starting a hobby farm, which this by no means is a hobby farm.
No.
But we hear a lot of people say that their interest is in retirement, that, I'm going to have a farm with some animals. And speaking about it kind of casually or in a fantasy way, but it's certainly a full-time job. So can you educate us a little bit about what's involved and what do you need?
You just need to be prepared that it's a lot of work.
So when does your morning start?
We usually start in the barn around between 7 and 7:30.
Right.
It ends up being a full day. The horses get fed around 3:30 and then we kind of finish around 4. But then somebody has to go in kind of between 8 and 10 to do what we call night check.
Sure.
So the horses get some more hay. We check on them again, make sure they're all looking healthy, that nobody's looks like they, are sick or have a stomach ache or we need to call the vet. But I think, it's one of those where you need to have somebody that knows enough about the animals and can recognize if they're not feeling well. You need to have somebody, if it's not yourself, that you trust is going to show up every day. Because you can't just, it's not like an office where you can turn the monitors off for a week and go away. Somebody has to look after them every day. They need to be fed every day. They need to be cared for every day. Their stalls need to be mucked out every day. Some people might have the option of having the horses live outside, but they still need eyes on them every day. And then, the stuff like having the farrier come out to trim their feet, even if they're not.
So let's talk about their feet, because they're wearing horseshoes, hooves. They have hooves.
Yeah.
And, I'm coming back. She just wanted to show off her shoes. We were talking about her fancy shoes. Okay.
So these ones both have horseshoes on. Mm-hmm. They get, those sort of get redone every 4 to 5 weeks.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's like going and getting a manicure. So your nails grow. Their hooves are their nails. So they need to have them trimmed and filed and then the shoes put back on so that they're fitting properly.
Amazing.
And even if they don't have shoes on, they still need to have their pedicure every kind of 4 to 6 weeks so that their feet stay the right shape. They don't start cracking.
Okay. So I feel like that's fancier than the mani-pedi I'm getting. And how often is the vet here?
Oh, God. Well,
because I'm assuming is that the biggest bill other than the property and housing?
It can be.
Okay.
Hopefully you're not seeing the vet that often. Ideally, you're really only seeing the vet maybe like twice a year for vaccines and, maybe having their teeth done.
Oh, that would be lovely. I think my dog goes in more than that.
Unfortunately, I tend to see the vet a little bit more often than that, but that's also due to the number of horses we have.
And how many do you have here?
Right now there's 15. But
you have capacity for...
I think we can have a total of 32 horses on this property. There's one barn that has 10 stalls that I've actually rented out to another professional. So they run their business out of there. But I don't have any responsibility in taking care of the horses. They just rent the stalls. But yeah, so I don't know. This year was kind of unfortunate because my top horse in May, the day before we were going to head to competition, was outside in his paddock like he is every day and ended up bucking a little bit too big and didn't quite get his feet back underneath him in time and ended up falling on his hip and fracturing his hip.
Wow.
So that was kind of terrifying. Unfortunately, I've sent him to Kentucky, so he's at a rehab farm there to hopefully he'll be able to kind of return to competition at some point. But yeah, that was kind of the biggest blow I had this season.
Right. And is that a freak accident, or is that like life happens that just could happen on any given day and something happens every year that you...
It's not normal, and it's not like you have something like that happen every year, but like, they can injure themselves. I had one the year before that a week after we got back from Florida, he colicked, which is basically he got like a really bad stomach ache and had like a little bit of an impaction, and then his colon twisted, and so it's really painful for him.
Wow.
So he ended up having to go to Guelph and have surgery.
Yes. Okay. And Guelph is a top veterinary school, is it not?
Yes.
In Canada?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're lucky it's not too far, but it's still about an hour. But yeah, when you got there, it was a 9-hour surgery. So for a horse, for anybody, that's a big time. And like people recovering from surgery, this was April of 2024. And he's now kind of just getting back to the fitness that he was at before.
So that would have been an expensive bill with horses or with larger animals. Do you have insurance? Like what would one anticipate for that?
Yeah, so you can get insurance for the horses, and thankfully I do have insurance on them. It doesn't necessarily cover everything, but it does help kind of cover a big chunk of it.
Those big surprises.
Yeah.
Property here is outstanding. It is so beautiful and so well manicured. How did you choose West Haven?
We got lucky. My mom is really into real estate and kind of loves looking at properties. So she spent, I don't know, I'd say probably 4 years looking at different farms. And we also had a fantastic real estate agent. So she kind of got to know us pretty well and had a pretty good idea of what we wanted and needed. And it was funny, I think there was one property that we had looked at and we're pretty close to putting an offer in. And she just kind of said no, I don't think this is the one. It's not nice enough. It's not good enough. We'll find something better. And I think about, I don't know, probably 8 weeks later, we ended up seeing this place.
And it was the right one.
Yeah. And it kind of just became the right fit.
So knowing that we're going through some transformation globally with the climate, has that impacted anything here? Or is there any way that you're considering, particularly with your place in Florida, of how it is you future-proof?
So when we ended up doing the renovation on this place, because when we got it, it actually was a thoroughbred farm. So the crew that kind of came up with the design and helped us plan for it, they had a bunch of ideas, and one of them was for the manure bay. There's it's sort of like a composting system. So there's a fan that runs underneath, and it sort of helps cook the manure so that it's ready. I believe it's within 30 days to then be spread on a field. So that helps just with, again, fertilizing the fields and also having something like being able to get rid of the manure and not just stockpile it on the property and pay for somebody to take it away.
Right.
And then
So repurposing something that actually has nutrients in it to bring health for the future then.
yeah, and then that works for us too because we have a few fields that we hay ourselves and kind of bring hay in for the horses, and then I take that down to Florida. But that came about while I was doing my MBA and needed a thesis topic. So we ended up doing kind of like a cost analysis based on whether it would be more profitable to have a farmer hay it for us, to rent out the fields and have like them farm them, or to have our own equipment and do it ourselves. And so it ended up kind of being where obviously there's the capital to put into the equipment, which is expensive, but it gave us a lot more flexibility because we did it one year where we had one of the local farmers come and hay it for us. And because he's doing so many other fields and there's always such like a small window that for the weather that it became a little bit,
It was past prime.
you were either maybe a little bit late or he couldn't quite get here and it would get rained on. So whenever we have hay down, like even when we have the equipment ourselves and we can do it and we're kind of in control of the timing, you're still sort of, praying to the weather gods and hoping that everything works out timing
By the right produce.
Yeah.
And does the hay provide you with that tax distinction as a working farm, or does having the horses make you a working farm?
No, the hay is what makes it a working farm. Yeah. So yeah, that was also an added bonus.
Absolutely.
We can walk this road till our days grow old. In this life we've built together, and we just begun. The best is still yet to come.
Better health is a lifelong journey. Choose the right healthcare partner. MedCan.
Asta, we've talked a lot about the hard work that's involved in owning a farm and the business itself, but tell me about what gets you up and what's motivating to you every day, because you're very passionate about it.
There's just something really special about being able to work with animals every day. I love the competition aspect of it, but I also just really love being able to be in the barn and groom them and pet them and kind of just, they all have their own individual personalities. And I don't know, there's a reason they use horses for therapy. Like they have a way of just kind of feeding off your energy and helping to calm you down. And, I kind of joke with some of my friends, like we call it horse therapy ourselves. So whenever we're having a bad day, like if we get to be in the barn and spend time with them, it kind of just makes everything better.
Lifts your spirits.
Yeah.
So when you imagine West Haven in 5 to 10 years, what do you see?
I honestly hope not much has changed. Like, I am very happy with the way things are going and I'm very happy with my team. And I kind of said this to you off on the side, but it's hard to really make plans because we always sort of joke and say horses have a way of ruining your plans. Like the one that hurt himself earlier this year, I had a whole summer planned for that horse and, we've had to kind of pivot and change what we're doing. So they teach you how to, be adaptable, which I don't think is a bad skill to have. And yeah, we just, kind of roll with the punches and keep going. And yeah, it's
resilience.
Exactly.
So one of the things you were telling me is that you shot, or a film production was done at the farm. How did that come to be?
That was, so I'd had, again, a friend that is in the film industry suggested that, it was a unique property and would be great for film production. So I ended up taking some photos and putting it on a site called Set Scouter. And so I hadn't heard anything probably in like 2 years. And then all of a sudden I got an email, and it was, people interested in using the farm for a 2 to 3 day shoot. So I agreed and said yes, and, didn't really know what to expect. But it's tons of fun. Like a little bit, everyone kind of, it was a lot more people than I expected. Like I've never been on a film set. So that was really interesting to see the behind the scenes of that. But yeah, it was a blast. Like, they were so respectful of the property, of, dealing with the horses. And so it worked out really well. Like I'd 1,000% do it again.
I was going to ask, you do it again?
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
We were speaking about culture earlier.
Yep.
And we were because that's obviously a very important part of any business. And what culture have you been curating here that you really felt has helped with what we call a sticky factor, that people stay?
I think part of it is a lot of people that end up working here are passionate about the horses themselves. They really care about the animals. I know at other places that I've been, sometimes there's always going to be stress involved no matter what. Like if a horse is sick or, no matter what you do, things can go wrong, accidents happen, horses get hurt, horses get sick. So you're doing your best to keep them healthy and sound. We've tried to, cultivate a feeling of family and community here. I was saying earlier, like I really want the best for everybody that comes through here and for them to grow and develop and be able to pursue their passions. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're trapped here, but I want them all to feel like they are valued and, that they are a vital part of the team, because we, honestly do need everybody that is here. Right. So, and it's I've been lucky that I have people that have been here since we started. Like my property manager has been here from day one, and I would be lost without him.
And you were telling her that
he made this bench for us, and all the jumps that were up in the ring when we were up there with the horses.
They're beautiful.
Built all of those. So yeah, he's got many talents.
That's who you need.
Exactly.
So Asta, I came here with being very curious about what it is that's entailed with owning a farm. I have a dream myself of having one. So thank you very much for taking me on that education.
Hopefully I didn't scare you off.
You didn't. I might have to go a little lower scale than what I was thinking I can manage. But thank you for sharing your beautiful property with us.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you for answering all of my questions.
It was a pleasure.
I'm very curious about farming.
Happy to help.